This question I get pretty frequently is, like, what do y'all eat? Which sounds funny to me. Hey guys, this is Hazel Bell Farm and my name is Donna. Thank you for joining me. I'm actually going to be shooting video for you tonight in the kitchen. So let me just explain that before I get in there. I'm in my feed shed right now. I'm getting ready to feed the cows some grain. That's Dolly White. She's a whiny. She has such a whiny moo when she's mad. She's begging. Alright, let's go see the beef girls. These kitties are pretty cute. Hey guys! First time I've ever seen him eat grain. Wow. Well, that's cool. He's growing up. Okay, so I knew I would be running errands today. This question I get pretty frequently is, like, what do y'all eat? Which sounds funny to me because I don't know why in the world anybody would ever want to know what we're preparing for our meals and snacks throughout the day. I guess it's intriguing to people because we grow food, so they want to know, how do we prepare that food? So I guess I'll show you how I cook dinner. I knew I'd be running errands most of the afternoon. I didn't know it would take as long as it did, and I knew I wouldn't want to spend too much time preparing dinner. But the weather we have, my guys are all gonna want a good stick to your ribs meal when they get home from work, and I'm gonna give it to them. The kitchen is really my jam. That's where I love to be. I love to create. I love to cook. I don't like the cleanup, but I like when it is cleaned up. But I don't like the cleanup. But I love to play with the ingredients that we grow and come up with new stuff. So we'll see how much I can create this year and share with you guys. So come on to the kitchen and I'll show you what I'm gonna do for dinner tonight. It's very simple. Anybody can cook it. And it's kind of how we use our ingredients. When you grow food, you learn very quickly that you don't waste food. Every single bite is precious. And so, especially when we're talking about animal proteins, and that, you know, life was given for us to eat, we want to really protect that and keep it respectful, and we just don't want to be wasteful. So here's how we use up our ingredients. Okay, I'm gonna start by steaming some broccoli as a side with our dinner tonight. So I've got a small stock pot there with a couple inches of water in the bottom and a steamer basket. I seem to have a light out in the kitchen tonight. It's always something, right? All right, this is broccoli from our garden. It's already been washed. I washed it when it came in, and then it's been wrapped in foil in the refrigerator to keep it fresh. And it's still very fresh, crispy if we wanted to eat it raw with a dip or something. But we're going to steam it tonight. So I cut that big chunk of a stalk off and put that aside for the pig. The rest of it I like to cut to bite-sized pieces. And some of us like the tops better, some of us like the stems better, so I try to keep both in the pot. All right, I'm going to start by adding a little lard to the bottom of my pan, my cast iron. You'll see that I typically cook with cast iron or stainless steel pots. Those are preferred in our household. So I'm just going to let this lard warm up a little bit. It's been in the refrigerator. It will stay shelf stable for a time, but I still like to keep it in the refrigerator. And then what I'm using is spaghetti meat. So I made spaghetti a few nights ago with some onions, peppers, Italian seasonings like oregano, and a little bit of rosemary, lots of basil, garlic, and some ground venison, which is very, very lean. You'll see later I have to add a little bit more fat to it. I made too much, and so before I added this base to my tomato sauce, I scooped out about half of it, put it in that freezer bag, and put it in the freezer, in the kitchen freezer, so that I would have it for later use. That does happen occasionally. I like to do that actually as a time saver, and I never know. I could have left this in the refrigerator. I didn't realize I'd be using it this quickly, just 2 or 3 days later. So this is a really good base. It has mushrooms, it has green peppers, onions, that kind of thing. I'm going to add some parsley to it to kind of change up the flavor a little bit. I'm not really looking for that Italian vibe in this dish. It's going to be more like beef and noodles or venison and noodles. Adding about a teaspoon of salt. That seems like a lot in this bit of meat, but you'll see I'm going to add quite a bit of stock and or broth, and so it's going to make a gravy. That salt's really going to thin out. This is some onion powder and probably a 1/4 teaspoon of marjoram. If I had to guess, I'd say 1/2 teaspoon of onion powder. That's how I cook. And then I've got this stock. You'll see it says beef and pork and collards. So I cooked some collards in the summer, some greens, and when I cooked them down, I used pork and beef bones in there. So this is what was left. I canned it up. Sorry the jar's in the way. I'm new at recording still. You'll see before I added that jar of broth, I added about a 1/4 cup of flour to kind of make a roux. Here's a little more lard and then some black pepper, probably 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. I let that roux really cook down for probably a good 10-15 minutes and brown a bit before I added this broth. That's a quart of broth. You could use beef broth, chicken broth, whatever you've got. And then, so you see how runny and almost soup-like this is. I also had some leftover gravy, about a pint of gravy from mashed potatoes. Again, I think that was from 2 nights ago, maybe 3 nights ago, the night before we had spaghetti. And like I said, we try not to throw anything away. If I can use it within a couple days, I will. If not, it'll go out to the pigs and chickens. So I added that gravy into my base here, and then about a 1/2 pack, maybe a little more than that. Was a 16-ounce bag of noodles, egg noodles that we already had used some in a chicken soup last week. So this is probably 3/4 of a bag. Yes, I'm still wearing my Christmas apron. We have not put away our Christmas stuff yet. Judge if you will. You may have noticed I gave the broccoli a little bit of a stir. I like to scoop what's on the bottom to the top and move what's on the top to the bottom. Then I pulled the basket out of that pot, emptied the water, and poured the broccoli back into the pot. Added some ghee just because I'm out of butter in the kitchen. that's it. So you just watched a time lapse of this simmering down and thickening. This is what we've got. This is dinner. It was very quick, maybe 30 minutes all in all. And my guys are all happy. Thanks so much for watching. We appreciate you guys. Like and subscribe.